If I had to break these episodes down as a whole, they would basically sum up to about Yujiro doing the absolute most again, cameos, just so many goddamn cameos, and yeah, a lot of hype. So yeah, that's pretty much what you're going to be in store for with this episode. Hey everybody, my name is Lou, and welcome to my channel. If you're new here, welcome. I made this channel basically because I just want to share my thoughts, and YouTube seems like the place. Otherwise, I'd just be on Facebook like one of those crazy people. But anyway, I digress. So in today's episode, we'll be reviewing episodes 3 and 4 of Baki, Son of the Ogre, the new Netflix series that just dropped, I believe, the week before last. Sorry, got confused. Real quick, I want to go through some disclaimers before we begin this video. First, if you haven't seen my review of episodes 1 and 2, please click off this video and watch that so you get a feel for my review style as well as help me out. It's greatly appreciated. Thank you. For 2, there will be so many spoilers. So if you haven't seen these episodes, please click off, go watch them, then come back and just get a feel for my thoughts and opinions. But I will stress this again. There will be so many spoilers. There will be complete spoilers for episodes 3 and 4 of the Baki, Son of Ogre series. You have been warned. But with all that out of the way, let's just dive right in. So get comfy and enjoy. Like I said in the introduction, the episode basically equates to Yujiro being the most, cameos, and hype. Let's start with the Yujiro stuff. This episode off with Yujiro on vacation for some reason, which still kind of bothers me. Like, I know this guy doesn't have a job, so what would he need a vacation from? That's what I'm asking. That's something that's bothering me about it. But I digress. So Yujiro Hanma's on vacation for some reason, and he's at this super exclusive, high-end like hotel or like hideaway camp, whatever it is. It's some luxurious like rich people like facility or building, and he's just doing the most in this pool, doing the butterfly stroke. I don't know what. Listen, I know dog paddle and I know just the breaststroke. That's the only stuff I know about swimming. So forgive me if I don't know every type of style. So yeah, he's performing the butterfly stroke, and he's been submerged in the water for over an hour. And the currents are about 12 to 13 miles per hour. Swimming against the currents themselves, which are moving at that speed. And they say they usually close them for speeds of between 1 and 2 miles. But anyway, then Captain Stridham comes up and he's like, oh, so he's been in there that long? Yeah, yada, yada, yada. And then Yujiro does just Yujiro. He jumps out of the whole pool like a goddamn orca and just lands perfectly. Of course he does. This is anime. Why am I surprised? Anyway, he lands perfectly and he says, hey man, why are you here? Why are you interrupting my vacation? I'm sorry, I just can't get over it. He's on vacation. Stridham goes on to tell Yujiro about Baki defeating or fighting the 200-pound praying mantis in a shadow boxing match. So Yujiro pretty much responds the way you think he would respond. He belittles Baki and he laughs his ass off. He's going to need a lot more than that if he plans on defeating me. We hard cut to Dallas, Texas, where we are watching a reporter reporting about Bush doing basically doing a motor, like he's basically traveling through Dallas, basically recreating the famous Kennedy Drive through Dallas, infamous. Sorry. So they're reporting about George Bush. Yes, it is that George Bush, George W. Bush, U.S. President. I'm not sure what the number. I don't care. Appearing in the series. So next thing you know, the screen goes black, and then it comes back on, and everybody's in disarray, and the reporter's like, I don't know where the president went. It disappeared. The satellite imaging distorted for a minute. Don't ask me how that happened or what was that about. That it's Baki who kidnapped the president. Yes, Baki just decided to kidnap the president for some reason. He's not a hotel. Baki's got him held up in a restaurant of some sorts. Baki begins to talk to the president. Basically, the president's like, hey man, do you understand what you're doing? He says, yes, I understand completely. I actually did this for a reason. He wants to be sent to the Arizona State Prison, which is codenamed the Black Pentagon. He wants to be sent to the Black Pentagon so he can fight Biscuit Oliva. Sometimes they say Oliver, so it goes back and forth. The only way to fight Oliver is to go into prison and fight him on his own terms. So the president grants his request, and we skip past the trial and all that nonsense. It goes right into Baki being, put into the prison system. The prints, his retinal scans, all that stuff. They make him strip down so they can do a full body scan of him. Then it's kind of gets suspect because the warden, or I think the warden, he basically just keeps complimenting Baki on his body, like he gets almost obscene with it. He just starts talking about how Baki is in probably best shape, and he has Olympic athletes in his prison, and he far exceeds those athletes. And I was just like, wow. I mean, he's fully aware of what Baki wants to do. In fact, Oliva already knows Baki's there. He says, hey, just send him down as soon as we get there. Baki goes down to meet Oliva, and when I say this man's like prison cell or whatever it is better than any house I've ever lived in, any house, I am not joking. He has the best living arrangements I've seen anybody live in. All these paintings, he's got like all these, it's stupid. It's just stupid what he lives in. Anyway, he's talking to Baki, and Baki's like, hey, I just came here to fight you. And Ollie was like, hey man, there's a pecking order here, you just can't jump in the line. He's like, no, I'm not gonna wait. So he just goes and punches him. He sneaks him. But it does nothing, of course. What kind of main antagonist would he be if that punch actually hurt him? So he no-sells the punch that Baki laid on him and just continues to talk with the punch still planted on his face and huffing out smoke. Anyway, he says, you gotta beat the number 2 before you can even step to me. And then Baki gets sent to he's like, I already arranged for you to be sent to the number 2's cell, or his prisoner cell. Then Baki goes to the cell, he meets Iron Michael. Yes, Baki meets Iron Michael, who they said died in the previous episode, but I guess there's some continuity like mix up. Plus, you know, he's based off Mike Tyson. I think they were trying to like recreate Tyson being in prison, I think in the mid-90s. But anyway, he says, hey, you need to keep it down because there's other, like, you're going to disturb the number 2. Baki's surprised that he's not the number 2. He says he doesn't even make the top 10. And then it's just a series of who's the number 2, who's the second guy on the pecking order. You get introduced to multiple characters, and then they do kind of like a bait and switch. This big old tall dude, they say he's like over 7 feet tall. He's like, hey, you gotta get outside, get changed. And you're thinking, oh, he's the number 2. He's not. He knocks on a foot locker and lets the actual number 2, Che Guevara. I told you, there's just so many cameos in this. Like, are you serious? We already had Bush, we already had Mike Tyson, now we got Che Guevara. Anyway. So Che Guevara steps out and he's just like, hey, what's up? And he introduces himself to Baki. And of course he knows why Baki's there. And it's actually getting obscene about how much these prisoners know and how 6 steps ahead they are with a lot of the information. Episode ends with Baki basically challenging him, say, hey, if I beat you, do I become number 2? And he just smiles and the episode cuts to black. Episode 4 is all about Che and like how he operates and what his goals are. And this guy's essentially untouchable in the prison. He just does whatever he wants. He goes and smokes in front of the guard's face. He gets like, you know, like his favorite meal, or he gets a meal made to his specifications. Like, it's weird, but it is what it is. It's Baki. You're going to be used to it. I want to talk about the cafeteria scene. There's a scene where he fights. Okay, any anime you've seen that. You've always seen this scene where there's a character who's introduced. And they're basically hyped up. They're being told, like, oh, this guy's so destructive. He does this. He does X, Y, Z. And I don't even know the guy's name. I knew he was just going to be a scrub as soon as he stepped on screen. Despite all his, you know, his stats, you know, being whatever. He's just a nobody. But he's just there to display what Che is capable of. And, man, does Che whoop this dude's ass, like, completely. He destroys him. This guy's apparently like a sumo champion. And Che decides, okay, so they go to the gym after, you know, they have their little scuffle in the cafeteria. They go to the gym, and essentially what he does is like, okay, we'll sumo wrestle. And he outclasses him in sumo. Don't ask me how when the dude there's this huge discrepancy in weight, and I'll probably put a picture of both the characters up there in full body so you can be like, whoa, they do look pretty different. But yeah, he just schools this dude. Then he bursts his eardrum and cuts, I believe, his inner ear to where it throws us equilibrium off. So the guy just is done. It's pretty much just, okay, you're done. We're done here. I'm gonna move on. He leaves, and then the guards step in because this is a super strict, like, Supermax. They are they'll just kill you. They don't care. They'll murder you and not give a second thought about it. Guards like, hey man, you're not supposed to be in here because, you know, they otherwise they ignored it until. So they go in there and he's like, usually I give people warnings. I wouldn't give people warnings before I shot him. But in your case, and he just blows the dude's head off, like, boom. Which kind of threw me off. I was like, damn, they actually really killed that dude. Like, that's why I'm saying, like, scenes like that are so unimportant to me. When, not the scene itself, but the characters themselves, they're just so unimportant. Like, you already knew he was just going to be a scrub. He's going to be a jobber to be boxed up and shipped to the side. Go back to Che, and he has another interaction with Baki, and And Baki's just like, still like, hey, well, if you want to go, we can go. And then he's like, oh no, I'm only here to fight the Unchained. Baki says something to basically piss him off. And from there, the guards step in to like kind of break up the fight, but not break up the fight. They're just trying to push Baki out. And Baki shows a little bit of his skill set, which you can tell impresses Che. He's still like, at least in my opinion, still a little bit above Baki. But anyway, so then Baki's locked up in like solitary confinement with his thumbs. Yeah, with his thumbs handcuffed. It's a weird. I'll show you a picture of it. Like his thumbs are handcuffed together and like behind his back. I don't know. It's a lot. Like one of the side characters, one of the like other prisoners goes in there and feeds Baki, and then he explains a little bit of the backstory of Che. Basically, what it equates to is Che was basically a pirate, a punk ass pirate or something like that. He was some super punk or a pirate. He'd plunder these ships, and then he'd go back to some like island and hide his stuff, like hide out with his men. But he discovered how the United States and all these rich people were oppressing this island. Out of nowhere, he just flipped the script and decided that he was going to train all his guys to be armless mercenaries. And what I mean is they don't have any weaponry. They don't use knives. They don't use artillery. They don't use anything like that. Explosion, everything. He trained them, and even in the breakdown, it said the guys would die during training. But the ones who didn't make it, they became like weapons unto themselves. So then we get a little bit more explanation as to what happened afterwards, and essentially what he did was he trained his guys up. Then he sent them to the United States like separately. He sent them out to like different infrastructures, like nuclear power plants. There was a guy who worked in the Secret Service, and then you get seen again with Bush. Yes, George W.'s back. Bush is basically like, how are we going to handle this island? Like, can't we just like go in there and take care of them? It's basically, my interpretation of it is the United States, might makes right type of situation. It's like discussing what their course of action would be in handling this island. And then one of his Secret Service members basically threatens the president, saying like, hey, like, if you don't stop, I'm gonna kill you right here. And the other guys are about to pull their guns, but he completely de-escalates the situation. There's a TV on, and Che, this dude is like, I thought, Yujiro is still the most disrespectful person on the show, but Che not only beat the hell out of all of Bush's guards at his house, but he's spending time with his wife and kids, which is like, damn, dude. Like, he's sitting there like just kicking it with them on the couch, letting them know like, hey, I can get to you anytime. So you might want to back off my island. And that's what he does. He basically defeats the United States with pure moxie, or pure like just heart. And he says, if you're thinking about coming to attack us or nuclear strike, just know that we have guys in all major infrastructures in the United States. So at any point, we can hand you your ass. Like, if you want to run, you want to catch these hands, or you want to run that smoke, just come for us. You gotta give respect to the man. He knows what he wants, and he went for it. Anyway, then after Baki learns all this, he asks, why did he come to this prison? And the prisoner just says, oh, he just wants to come here and beat basically the strongest American, or beat the pinnacle of America's strength, which is obviously Oliva. Overall, this is probably the better of the two episodes to me. I just feel like episode 3 was just a bunch of cameos and a lot of setup. And that's not a bad thing. I love, like, even like, other animes do it, like One Piece and, Naruto and Boruto. They all do those setup episodes and chapters, and that's perfectly fine. I just feel like with this episode, we got more substance. Meat and potatoes as opposed to just a Pop-Tart. Think of it like that. But with that being said, thank you so much for watching to the very end. I appreciate it greatly. If you wouldn't mind, please like the video as well as subscribe. I will appreciate it very much. And until next time, peace.